are actually free. If you save your fucking money and you donate it to Palestine, you weak ass bitch.
Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back, Bella. We had to refresh and come back so you guys could hear us real well. So where we left off, we were talking about the support of Palestine and the differences
Mm.
of support they're getting, and especially the mainstream news, like we were talking about on the last show. The mainstream news is doing everyone a
It's
disservice.
disgusting.
Yeah.
Evil.
And so now CNN, did you see where CNN has agreed to the terms of Netanyahu to go in to Israel to try to report um, the way he wants them to report? Like they have all their footage has to be approved by him before they could even release it. What does that sound like?
Oh, yeah. Fascism, right? Or what is it? There's like
Yeah.
different words of the big bad guys that I don't know, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But like, um, all as far as Netanyahu, how do you say his name?
Netanyahu.
I read it and I hear it all the time, but I don't have like so many people to talk to. So,
Mm-hmm.
but so I looked up, I was just looking for something to watch and I looked up that movie Messiah just
Mm-hmm.
because I was like, I don't know. And then when I went to look it up, like a news article was the first thing that popped up. And it was like, why Netanyahu um, forced Netflix to cancel the second season of Netflix or of Messiah, even though it was doing so good on Netflix, and he banned it in Israel. And I was like, what in the Holly weird is going on? You know, like,
Oh, speaking of that, I think it's Gal Gadot. She's an actress. So she is. Let me see. Let me pull this up. No,
but
that's
I
not.
haven't been watching the news because I just feel like when I watch the news, I
Okay,
don't know,
so Gal
just
Gadot, which like
life.
I haven't watched. I know she played Wonder Woman, I guess, at some point.
Mm,
Like
okay, I know who you're talking about.
so I don't watch American movies or TV shows, so but this came up, but I still know of what's going on in, Hollywood and stuff. But
Mm.
so she's Israeli, and I think she was a member of the Israeli military, but she's doing a 47-minute video provided by the Israeli military in LA and New York. So that's
What?
yeah, yep, Gal Gadot. And that wasn't she a woman, Wonder Woman?
Yeah.
She's a supporter of Netanyahu.
Mm. Somebody said that makes me think of somebody else that said if you look at right after 9/11, that's when Marvel really took off.
Mhm. Yeah. I think I saw that video. Yep. And that's actually like when I because I like I said I wasn't really watching any of the I just kind of tuned out. Like completely utterly just tuned out like any productions from Hollywood or TV shows. Like I was just like absolutely just not going to watch any of it. Like no desire, none whatsoever. Like for the rest of my life,
Yeah.
what I watch, I can watch. I have something to watch for the rest of my life, like without watching anything produced here in America. And that's not being anti-American. I'm not anti-America because this is my home. but I'm not going to subject myself to propaganda.
Yeah, that's why, like, that's where, like, with the news, it felt like I was, I don't know, it would make my mind spin, you know? Like, it would just make my mind spin. So listening to people directly from there, you know, like, what is her name? Um, Basani? But
Bas-
Bisan? Bisan?
Basan,
Bisan?
is she a creator on TikTok?
She's the reporter.
Oh, under the desk news? No, not her.
No, the reporter out of Palestine.
Oh, Basan.
Of
Yes,
the,
yes, yes, yes. Basan. Yes, yes. Hmm.
yeah, like that's, that's pretty obvious.
Oh,
That's pretty like, I don't know.
yeah. So speaking of the media and their bias, like we were talking about under the desk news, telling everybody to look away. Like whatever you're doing in this moment
To
now.
tell us to tell our kids to look away. And
Yeah.
you know what? I did. I told my kids, "Hey, I just got a thing," because I really thought it was like all about the kids, you know?
Hmm. Hmm.
And like I didn't my kids don't have like access to social media, to where, but I was just like, if anybody has phones and they're looking at pictures of like bodies or anything, you know
Hmm.
what I mean? Like, I don't think that, and I don't think that it's a good idea that they're looking at it, like, know about it, maybe, I'm not saying hide it, but all of the adults right now are so traumatized
Hmm.
seeing it.
I do agree with
So,
that. I do agree with that because yeah, I'm having trouble
yeah.
too.
And I also don't want them to be like desensitized. And my kids are so sensitive.
Hmm.
Like my daughter would probably throw up. Like if you even talk about death, she just gets, but she lost her dad when
Hmm.
she was just one. So death has always just been like she's never lived a life of, well, I wonder if you'll come back, So it is, anyway. Um, yeah, and then after that, when it happened, like when it really, like we saw what it was, because it was kind of like I didn't know what was coming.
Hmm.
And then like when we all saw what that was, that she was like, don't look. That's when I realized it was a don't look. Like before that,
Yeah,
I
it's
don't
so
think
it's like
anybody imagined what
right,
was
exactly.
coming.
And then to find out since then that like none of us really knew the history of the conflict because like
Anything.
we've always been distracted by what is produced in Hollywood and the narrative that they pushed, like we're always the hero this, always the hero that.
Okay, and check it out. Not to be conspiracy theorist, but if I were to like, how people write a movie or write a book based off of this time, so we'll say art and fiction is what I'm speaking in. Like, wouldn't it be weird if in a world where like all this was going on right before war happened, an algorithm sent out Rome to be really, really popular with white men? And like all white men know, all white men know, all white men know. And like after this, I'm thinking, I wonder how many white men were like, in order to be a man, I gotta know about Rome.
You're okay, so you're talking about that trend. I see what you're talking about. So remember that
Yeah.
trend? Okay, so that trend
And
with the Roman
everybody, all of
Empire.
us were like, what the fuck?
Right, that okay, I see what you're saying because yeah, I
You know
thought
what
that
I
was
mean? Like, where
weird.
did this even come from?
I thought that was so
So,
weird that all of a sudden all these men were talking about the Roman Empire like you
and
said,
if
what?
they didn't, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah. I was like, why? Why am I seeing this in my feed? The Roman Empire?
And not just that, but right before this, too. So out of right before this, um, glitch.
Yeah, so okay,
Right,
I saw these
right
women.
before this, remember the Hollywood strike?
Yes.
Okay, so there's the Hollywood strike, and all of a sudden we're like, wait a minute, rich people are broke? Wait a minute, stars are broke? Wait a minute, they're struggling? And they wanted us to like rally for them, and we fucking did. And then and then well, like I kind of was like, eh. But all of a sudden all of these stars got quiet and content, and they went in a room and they worked out a deal, and they come out, and a month later Israel is, bombing, and they're saying protect Israel.
Good
You know what I
point.
mean?
Good
That's
point. 'Cause
really weird
I actually
too. And
thought
then
about
the
that.
whole
Yeah, I actually thought about that, but I couldn't I was it wasn't like clicking. Like I was like, where are all these people? Because I'm listening to other content creators talking about and calling out these celebrities about being quiet. And then we see people like Gal Gadot, she's making a propaganda film, 45 minutes. And then like the other stars that we were rallying behind, because yes, I did support like the writers and the regular people that were not getting paid. Yes, everybody has the right to be paid, but that didn't mean that I was supporting the institution of Hollywood. That wasn't the case. I was supporting the workers and the writers and the little people, that wasn't getting paid.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
now all this, like you said, then they're quiet.
hmm And a friend of mine has spoken on Philistine over and over and over again, hit the ground running, Aaron. And then she spoke of Taylor Swift banned permanently.
What? What did she say
Yeah.
about? I mean, Taylor Swift.
I don't know. It
Eh,
probably fell under like the flag of conspiracy theory, you
mm-mm.
know? Um, because that does happen. Like, so
Right.
if you talk about conspiracy theories, you can't do it in a way where like you're trying to get people to believe a conspiracy theory. You're like, hey, have you heard of this conspiracy theory? Tell me what you guys think. You probably have heard people do that and like phrase it that way. I imagine
Mhm.
that's what. But it is interesting to me because they kept saying over and over and over again, like, Taylor has her own army, you know? And then it's just like, reel it back in, girl. Don't go into fantasy land. Don't,
Well,
you know what I'm saying?
I think they're
But
talking about like her fans, kind of like BTS has an army. Hello, kitty, kitty. Hello, kitty, kitty. BTS, they call themselves BTS Army. So it's like with the fan club and stuff like that. So it was probably what is it Miss, how AI kind of doesn't translate things right. Algorithms do the same thing. So
yeah,
I think maybe had something like that to do. But to be banned outright, though, I don't understand why that would be. You know.
I think there's some sort of like psychological warfare going on. I feel
Definitely.
like TikTok is like a bunch of us are all in these stalls,
Hmm.
and right now we're getting not just what's going on, but other things on our feed. And it's just like everybody is just shaken up, dysregulated,
Hmm.
misinformed, except for those who already know that you've got to look,
Hmm.
like that you can't just take things at face value. And to see that happening all over the world is like, it's pretty nerve wracking.
Right. And I don't know, not everybody has knows about think tanks, but there are think tanks that are funded by a lot of dark money and a lot of rich people. So basically they get
Yeah.
into rooms and they are studying us and our behaviors. And I think like what you were saying, they are manipulating a lot of this. And that's not a conspiracy theory. That's just like, you know,
Mm.
they're
Well,
basically
if you
out.
look at if you look at the show Mad Men, and I know you don't watch TV, but
Hmm.
like Mad
I
Men
know of the
touches
show
on
though.
it.
Hmm.
Yeah, it touches on it. Like it goes back and it talks about, it shows the process of them taking all of the women, putting them in the room, having another woman go in there because the men can't get in the mind of the woman, so they have to hire a woman to go in there and just pretend like she's having conversation with them to find out sob stories about their kids and their skincare and what their mom taught about skincare, evoking emotion to where they were moved to cry, and then they realize that's the line that we have to say to sell
Hmm.
Dove soap,
Hmm.
you know. And there's a lot of that going on. But I saw a commercial too. I think that there's also going to be a lot of like things about other groups of people showing up in our feed that's going to trigger us and make us like dislike the other people even more right now. Like
Right.
I just think that there's going to be a lot of that happening and maybe on purpose. And that is coming from like the book, like the Art of War,
Hmm.
and this other book called Dark Psychology. And then just other rabbit trails that I went down and heard people talk about how, using mind mind control,
So
by
I'm
the
I'm gonna
power of
pull
suggestion.
I'm gonna pull this up because this goes uh to what we're talking about here, my the think tanks and stuff like that. So this guy, if can you see that? Okay, yeah. So this guy Christopher Rufo, he is the guy that uh railed against CRT. He said he made it where it would be toxic. He took CRT out of context and he just used it to say that he was going to make it a toxic thing, so we couldn't get any progress on it because CRT was never taught in regular schools. CRT was a law school course. So basically critical race
Mm,
theory is the theory that systems in this country are um, racially um, that they are racially built on being discriminatory, in particular to black people in this country. So he is with the Heritage Foundation, which that's another foundation that's behind the 2024 project, that the fascist project that the Republicans are trying to enact. He's the stooge leading the racist red baiting assault on American education. So that's the start of these moms for liberty and everybody attacking schools and libraries. Sons are seen on a bench during a rally against critical race theory being taught in schools in Loudoun County Government Center in Lynchburg, Virginia. Okay, so the attacks on critical race theory over these last 9 months have sought to silence any critical focus on racism today, on structures, institutions, and systems, acts, and people being racist, and to reshape historical memory regarding race to this end. So, the same way when people are calling out Israel, and then people are trying to shut you down by calling you anti-Semitic because you're calling out Israel and what they're doing is wrong. They want to scream you're anti-Semitic. That's the same way with the critical race theory. They
mm-hmm.
they use is the same ploy. So when anybody is calling out racist
Yeah.
institutions, then they scream critical race theory, and all that to make it toxic and kind of like any movement of social justice in this country has been
Mm-hmm.
attacked by people like this Christopher Rufo, and they make it toxic, like the Black Lives Matter movement. Black Lives Matter never meant no other lives matter, but they turned it and tried to flip it because we were calling out racism, and they flipped Black Lives Matter into a toxic term to dismantle the movement. That's what this is all about.
And you know what? All of the people that said all lives matter,
Right, right, right. That was just like
They're
people calling us
they're showing
anti-Semitic, Semitic.
they're not. Well, look at right now. Not all lives matter. Not
Right.
right now.
There you
They
go.
don't. They're posting, the people that said that are the same people who are posting, you know,
What they're going to do for
peace.
Thanksgiving. And that's
Well,
another.
no, mine are straight up posting protect, stand with Israel.
Right.
Like,
Okay.
so,
Yeah, they're the same people that
mm.
say, scream, save the children, but are completely, utterly silent right now. Those save the children people and all lives matter people, crickets.
And then I saw, and something I saw was this, like, meme. I don't know, this, like, list from this pastor guy of all of these different verses to help when it's really hard to watch.
Hmm.
And just remember, stand strong the way that David stood strong. Like verses to stand by and be able to. And it reminds me of what Kakai says, Royal Star,
Hmm.
in the videos. I don't know if you've ever seen where he zooms in on the lynchings and
Mm.
then the white people. Have you seen that video? And
Where
like
where they're
where their
smiling.
fists are just ball. Yeah. Well, some of them are smiling, but some of them are standing around and their eyes look traumatized. They look afraid and their fists are just balled up tight. Like they want to run away, but they have nowhere to go because, and he said, because if they were to say anything, they know what happens to people who say something.
Hmm.
So there's like that where he talks about it being like PITS, not post traumatic stress disorder, but where you're like in the oppressor class, but you do get traumatized in an oppressor way in that situation, even the
Hmm.
one throwing the punches. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that
He's good.
this is an example. These people right here, all of a
Yeah.
sudden, they're pro Israel. But these are the people. If you're, you know what I'm saying. These people are now all of a sudden pro Israel. Like, make that make sense. We temporarily lost Bella. She'll be back. Okay, so in the meantime, I'm going to play. Oh, we need to talk about Congo as well. So in the meantime, I'm going to play this video about the Congo.
Do you know what one of the most frustrating things about the situation in Congo is? It's that it does.
These trillion-dollar tech companies do not have to employ children to mine cobalt and coltan with their bare hands. They don't have to do that. They can go to the DRC and set up industry. They've done it elsewhere. They do it right here in the United States. They can set up industry. They can train willing and able-bodied men and women. They can create employment. They can build hospitals. They can build schools. They can change the landscape of this area, but they won't, because these are black people, these are black children, and they're disposable, and they're carrying out modern day slavery right now in the DRC, and they'll come back to us and preach diversity and inclusion. In the meantime, they're maiming children and burying them alive in these mines. So boycott big tech, shame them into having some kind of moral decency. Stop buying. Free the Congo.
That's all connected. Congo, Palestine, Sudan, they're all connected.
It's really like I was thinking today, like, holy shit, did they just like realize that, oh no, if people see slavery, you know, they're going to be upset. So we just need to put it here instead or get it here instead,
Mm.
and like not let anybody know about it.
And it's been going on for years though. But the thing is now the attention is mainly on Palestine, rightfully so. The Palestine what they're going through is still connected to what's happening in Congo. So now fresh eyes are open to Congo again as well. So it's the global majority, like I was watching a girl's video last night. She was saying we outnumber them and they're
Hmm.
trying their hardest to beat us all down in the dirt. We outnumber them.
But the thing is like so many of us don't know that.
Right.
Not like it matter, not like, but
Because they're distracted. They're distracted. They're keeping them distracted and all
they
this
think they're
chaos.
everything.
Yeah, all
Yeah.
this chaos is by design. The chaos that the Republicans are doing in this country, especially, all this chaos is by design to keep us distracted from what's happening. And unfortunately, like because of what's happening in Philistine, if the journalists that weren't on the ground there weren't able to get the news out, the footage out, we wouldn't know. We would not know what was going on over there. Same
And the
with
fact that
Congo and
they,
Sudan.
yeah, and the fact that they knew that they would have to speak English, like okay, we have to learn and speak English, otherwise they mistranslate it and lie about what we say. So in order for the people to hear it, we've got to be able to, because, you know,
Hmm.
so many don't speak other languages or other languages. Like Islamophobia is so real that, like, there was a time where I would hear somebody speaking that language and I would feel afraid because of the propaganda of 9/11. I was
Yep.
16, you know, if I saw the writing, anything, I was just so afraid. And now it's just been really, well, not just now, but for a while, like it's been nice to see people for who they are, but then seeing, you know, them outside of the US and what they're going through
Hmm.
more. It's like,
That and look, you're not the only one because I the same thing happened to me. I because of how the propaganda worked here in this country, I I was like that. Like immediately after 9/11, I remember sitting in a doctor's appointment and some Islam family came in, women, and they were
actually I think it's Islam. Islam. I think.
Islam.
I
Yeah,
think.
so
I said it too, but
they came in and they had the hijab on and everything. And see, like I wasn't. I'm pretty educated, but also pretty sheltered. And then this country doesn't help with the education system. So I was when they came in, I was terrified. And I was just like thinking back, I feel foolish for believing in all that, but had to deconstruct as well. I've had to do a lot of deconstruction about
mm,
what we were indoctrinated with because that's what it was. We were
yeah.
indoctrinated.
And from my understanding, that's what's happening in Israel. Like
Mhm.
the footage of what the kids' school looks like, what their, I'm not going to say pledge, but basically pledge, anthem, is like, it is so much like America. Like
Mhm.
so much, just like a different denomination, like a different.
Well, America is the UK's cousin. So
Mm,
we're America and the UK are literally family members. So Israel is an extension of both the UK and the US. And it was established by the UK. The UK was the one that gave the Palestinians land away. Like they had
Mm-hmm.
had a right to do that. Like they were big and bold and just like, oh, we're just, by the way, we're just going to take your land and give it to somebody else. Why there's no DNA test allowed? They're illegal in Israel because a lot of those people in Israel are European. They're not even true Jewish. They're European.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It was, I'm like,
So that's why they like a lot of their traditions or whatever is are the same as the US and the UK. They're all interconnected. Big and
I know,
bold.
it's just, it's so big that like when I'm, every time.
Actually, I mean, it just gets worse and worse and worse. I want to play this lady's video. So, we got to worry about China and Taiwan now because all of this is connected. Israel, Sudan, Congo, um, Palestine, all connected. So, just listen to this video. We'll talk on the other side of this video. So, she's talking about Taiwan. So, we got that as an issue. China and Taiwan. Okay.
Happy Monday, beautiful people. Your girl was at work today because she has a real job and pays her bills, and TikTok don't pay my bills. So, with that being said, welcome to Random Streams of Consciousness, Monday edition. Did you know that the official name of Taiwan is the Republic of China, the Rock? Yeah. Taiwan's official name is the Republic of China. China's official name is the People's Republic of China, PRC. Taiwan, or the Republic of China, is located 100 miles off the coast of mainland China, or the People's Republic of China. To avoid any type of confusion, I am going to refer to both countries as China and Taiwan, so that way everybody can keep up. So Taiwan has bounced around from being an occupied territory of Japan to China to other countries and back and forth. But right now, China is kind of, sort of independent. Kind of, sort of. So this is where it gets a little messy and a little complicated, and let me explain why. The entire nations, the United Nations and all the other countries across the globe, the world leaders, does not recognize Taiwan as an independent nation. And Taiwan knows this, and Taiwan acknowledges this, to include the United States. Taiwan is not recognized as a sovereign independent nation. And let me explain why. Because if the world leaders recognize Taiwan as an independent nation, it becomes very ugly and problematic for China. China is not having that shit. China's claim is Taiwan is a territory of China. Taiwan belongs to China. Taiwan don't want to be a part of China. Taiwan don't want to go back to China. Kind of sort of similar to Ukraine and Russia. Russia wants Ukraine back. Ukraine was like, I don't want to go back. And then what triggered the whole Russia-Ukraine situation was when Ukraine applied to be a part of NATO. And then but that's for another topic in regards to the parallels between Ukraine and Cuba. This is where the United States step in. The United States has a strategic global economic relationship and partnership with Taiwan. They have an understanding and an agreement, kind of similar to Israel, except Taiwan is not a member of the UN. That's where it gets a little dicey. Because of this strategic partnership, if anything happens to Taiwan, the United States needs to step in. This is where Joe Biden comes into play. See, Joe Biden is in a damn if you do, damn if you don't, really fucked up situation because China is watching what Joe Biden is about to do with Israel. Because Taiwan has the same allyship and partnership that Israel has with the United States. without going into detail and without diving too deep into classified information, the United States is kind of low key a bodyguard to Taiwan, if that makes sense. This is where it gets a little complicated, right? So the agreement is if anybody attacks Taiwan, then the United States is supposed to step in. China's going to sit back and see how the other countries are going to deal with Israel. And if other countries deal with Israel, is the United States going to step in? So China is kind of taking a step back and seeing what their next move is. China is playing chess because China wants Taiwan back. Taiwan don't want to go back to China. Does that make sense? So this is why the shit that's happening with Israel is actually having some second and third order effect consequences. And this is why I said Israel put the United States in a fucked up situation. Because if Israel reacts, and Israel is a member of the UN, knowing that Israel is committing egregious, horrendous human rights violations and war crimes, China's sitting back and be like, let me see what you're going to do. And I'm still going to get Taiwan back. And so Taiwan is looking at the United States like, what you going to do, my guy? This is why I said Joe Biden is in a very fucked situation. He whatever he does is going to have some consequences. Let me know if you want to know more, because I had to have a conversation with my friend who works in the DOD, because, this shit is ugly and messy. So what Israel does affects Taiwan.
We're in a mess. We're in a mess. I love the way she explained that. Like
I know, right?
yeah, right.
It's so good.
We are in a mess. Like I, we already knew we were in a mess, but the depths of this mess keep going and going into the pits of Hades.
For real. For
But
real.
you know what? What's the common denominator here? Men. Over emotional men. So ladies out there, like any man that says, like, I just laugh at men now that say women are too emotional, blah blah blah. They can't control their feelings, blah blah blah. Look at the mess we're all in globally. Globally. Who's
Hmm.
behind each of those countries? Men. Man in China, man in Taiwan, man in Israel, man in America, man in the UK, man in Canada. Uh, so don't tell me women are over emotional ever again. Ever again.
Yeah, we might cry, but we're not blowing the fucking world up.
There you go. Man in Korea. Okay. They're all panicking. Man in Japan. They're all panicking. And then on top of that, they're low both birth rates. And they can't,
See?
for some reason they can't figure out why don't anybody want to have kids? Blah blah blah. This is a global issue. Why don't keep people want to have kids? Uh Nobody's paying a living wage. The prices of housing is going up. Nobody can save any money. Groceries are going up. We can barely pay attention. I mean, I would like to have a pet. I have 4 grown kids, but I would like to have a pet. I can't afford to pay for me to eat. So I'm denied the
Mhm.
companionship of a pet because I can't afford it. I'm not going to put a pet through that because I can't focus on them and you have the I don't have the money to where you know what I'm saying. They're like a kid too. So I am denied the companionship of a pet because I can't afford it. Thanks to these men that keep raising prices and being ridiculous.
And I just want to say to any, like, this is just a call in, not a call out, but
Mhm.
just I hold space for white people shit, you know? So like um
Okay, cuz.
So if there's anybody that this is like triggering and you don't want to be a bad guy, you know, like you don't want to be looked at as a bad man, or you're, you know, just like, I don't know how they could get connected to me somehow. Maybe I could put my email down on here.
Mhm.
But
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I'm working with some people, or even like white women on here, but like people who are, I feel like everybody's just so dysregulated right now. And what I don't want to see are white men being fed, watch Rome, watch Rome, watch Rome, get like what's going to happen to the white man, scared and violent,
Mm-hmm.
you know? And so I'm working with Royal Star. And we have a space for that, for you to just like come in and be part of the solution. And that's that. And then we can move on. Just don't disrespect my friend in the comments. Just come disrespect me via email.
Oh, and I will put her email in the description box after our show. And so we're going to close out that, so that's kind of like our call to action as well. I was actually going to talk about there was a 4B movement when we were talking about like men wondering why women are basically taking back their power globally and stuff like that. So I was gonna well, actually I will play that because it's relevant, and then we're gonna close out, and I'm gonna leave Bella's information in the description box, as well as voicemails. If you guys would like to talk to us, leave us a message. We'll address it, and we'll play your voicemail on a future show. But I want to play this video of a lady. She just realized what the 4B movement was in Korea. So I've
What's
actually
that?
been watching this for
4B?
over the years, and it's been building momentum. So there's a 4B movement going on in South Korea, and it has been going on for years now. So with the same issues that America is having with the low birth rate, and Japan, like, men are wondering why
Mm.
women don't want to have kids or get married. Her
Oh.
video was so cute, but it's called the 4B movement. If anybody wants to look up any more of it, but I'm going to play her video of how she didn't realize it was going on, but it was so funny.
The rabbit hole I've been on upon learning that women, femmes in South Korea are on a full-blown birthing, marriage, child-rearing strike. Oh my gosh. These icons, these legends are on a full-blown pregnancy boycott. Pregnancy, marriage, dating, sex, boycott to combat misogyny and other structural issues in their society. So much so, it is statistically changing and altering the birthing rate in that country. It has the government shook. The government is so shook that they're over thinking about changing policies. The government is scrambling so much that they're offering more money to have a child. They're trying to come up with child having incentives. And the women are still like, nah, I'm good. What are we doing over here on this side of the world? What are we doing? Stand up. What are we doing? We need to rise. Oh my God. I always thought, when we had these discussions about, just stop dating men and stop having their babies, it was like theory. It was arguments. But we have a praxis. We have a praxis, ladies. To be truthfully honest, here's the thing, right? Pregnancy and parenthood are just as affected by these terrible, problematic, harmful systems as anything else, especially as a black woman. Y'all don't care about black people with uteruses in our lives, let alone the children's lives. You do not have systems, communities set up to really support parenthood. Y'all have gotten laws and legislation to control our bodies and uteruses, and it's life-threatening. The black maternal rates are astronomical. Boycott pregnancy for real. Boycott pregnancy. This is my new favorite practice, and I'm not sorry about it. This is getting added to my campaign, right? All we need is a couple pterodactyl ancient birds to get on board, and it's over for y'all. The rabbit.
And not only that, the legislation against women's bodies. Guess how much legislation is on a man and his body? That's gonna be an easy guess.
Dude, I saw like something a long time ago where a man was like, I feel like I don't want my leg anymore. So he gotta get his leg cut, gotta get his leg cut off. Just, okay, your body. And I'm like, and then we have to jump through hoops to what?
Men have zero legislation against them in their bodies. Women have there are over 1,500 pieces of legislation against a woman in her body.
Really?
Zero zip nada for men. And that, but
What
like I
was
said, that movement is
that?
in South Korea. So it's called the 4B movement.
And I think, was it you? Was it Desiree? Maybe both of you was it you? Who told me about how the whole reason marriage ever even started was because you had to own a piece of property before you owned a house, and that property was the woman, or something like that.
And
I
there were
don't know.
dowries offered, such thing as dowries. We'll talk about that in another broadcast. So, in the meantime, we're getting ready to
It makes
close
you
out,
kind of feel like moo,
right? Because
you know?
I have to pull up the history of dowries and all that stuff. Because I had, like, my
Okay.
mom had to make 15 blankets by hand, like quilts. Like, she had quilting parties before she could get married. Of course, her dad was a preacher too, bless her. And she had to make like
Wow.
15 quilts. So she had quilting parties. So, like, all the elders and the women of the church and stuff, they would come around and they would do these quilts. So she said the same thing to me when I was a teenager. I was like, "Oh, you're never gonna have a son-in-law." I'm like, "I'm not doing a quilting party." Although I
Never
did,
having.
but I didn't have a quilting party when I did, but yeah. So if you would like to support it. Oh, here's our Q&A box here. So if you have any
And real quick,
questions,
just end genocide, free Philistine,
yes,
Palestine,
yes,
Congo, everybody.
Sudan.
And then,
And
yeah,
power to
thanks
the
for
women of
watching.
South Korea and their 4B.
Yeah, for real.
They are brave souls. They are brave
And
souls.
congratulations to everybody who organized all of the marches,
Hmm.
too, real quick, because that was really inspiring.
Globally.
You
Oh,
know?
Indonesia had the
Yeah.
biggest one. That was like, I think it was 2.2 million people that came out in Indonesia. So they were but the thing is, the news didn't show any of that. For
One, they say that in uh, at the Capitol, or in DC, yeah, DC, it was over 300,000, but the news put thousands and tens of thousands as the caption. And I'm
words
like,
matter.
dude, that words matter.
And they know exactly what they're doing because these news networks in this country, in America, are owned by oligarchs. They're right wing oligarchs, and they don't want to pay taxes, and they're trying to usher in fascism. That's what all this is about. That's why they only want one side told in this. It is not a war, because a war would mean equal um,
Footing, ground,
footing. You know, Palestine, they don't have a
and
police
resources.
department. They don't have a military. They don't have an airport.
They don't
You
have
know, and over
water.
half of the population are children. Okay, that's not a fair fight.
I'll also get, and maybe we'll put it in the comments later, so you could post it, and then we'll put it in the comments later.
Mhm.
But I'll put well, I don't know, soon, maybe next time or something. But Darter got 5 trucks in.
Oh,
Remember, Darter, who I was talking about
uh-huh.
last time? Him, and so he works with a whole bunch of they run charities, and they got 5 trucks in. So they found a way to get 5 trucks in, and they're
Okay.
hoping to be able to do more. So
Okay, so
when
you're
I
gonna
find out,
update us?
yeah, so that
Okay.
if you want to help that way too. So.
So yes, post your questions in the chat, call and leave us a voicemail at SpeakPipe, or you could call this number here, 615-237-8165. We will play your question or comment on the air. Just be nice with the comment, no, profanity and stuff. We're not prudes, but we're not trying to get shut down either. So we're
Yeah,
we're
and like
we're equal
we'll talk, but I
opportunity.
don't want to. I don't want to. I just can't even deal with trolls. It's like it's
Right.
gonna be gray rock. I cannot. But, you know, if somebody really wants to have like a conversation, good faith conversation, then, you know, that'd be nice.
And we look forward to it. Thank you, Bella, for joining me on my birthday. Look at that
Happy
hoodie.
birthday.
Look at this. We're repping. We're repping the show, Seen and Heard podcast. We have mugs and we have that hoodie. It looks so comfortable. It's warm, isn't
It is.
it?
And it was so, it's not, I've worn it so much, but when I first got it, it was like the softest hoodie on the inside.
Oh, look.
Yeah, it was like buttery soft.
It
So
looks good on you. It looks good
I
on
wasn't
you.
expecting it to be that cozy, but it really is super cozy.
And if you guys would like to support the show, you could leave us support us at Cash App, GoFundMe. We have a Buy Me a Coffee link, and we also have merchandise. So if you would like a hoodie or a coffee mug, then I'm gonna post this here, and then we'll close out, and we will see you guys on the next broadcast. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.